Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Alice Rita. To all my returning subscribers, thank you for coming back. And if you're a new subscriber, I'm really glad that you stopped by to watch this video. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how I prepare my universal pepper sauce. This pepper sauce, it requires just few pepper. Depending on your type of pepper, I prefer to use combination of several peppers because the infusion of all the different flavor and taste for this pepper gives the universal pepper sauce a unique taste. For us to start, I'm going to be using bell pepper. I'm going to be using long pepper as well, and I'm going to be using this tiny long pepper. And of course, to give it the spiciness, I'm going to be using scotch bonnets, habanero pepper, and onion. Of course, I'm also going to be using tomato. So these are the several combinations I'm going to be using. And I just love to buy a lot whenever there is a sale. So I just buy and prepare it and stock it in the freezer. So if you are in luck and there are peppers on sale at your hand, why not use this opportunity to also prepare this sauce? Okay, enough talking and let's get to the kitchen. So now we are going to be washing the tomato and the pepper, and I'm going to wash them in batches because I prefer to wash and then slice it directly into the blender. So I'm slicing now my tomatoes into the blender. Next, I'm going to wash the Italian pepper. I hope the right name is Italian pepper. Please, if it's not Italian pepper, please write in the comment section the name of this pepper, these skinny long ones. In my local language, we call it bawa. And when I try to check on Google, it says it's Italian pepper. I don't know why. It's skinny and lovely. So I'm just going to blend this together with the tomato so that I can create space for the other pepper. I'm going to add water so that the blade can easily blend the tomato and pepper. And yeah, so after blending this, I'm going to then wash the pepper. That's the bell pepper, and then also slice to remove the seed. I discovered recently that it's important to slice this pepper into two before blending, because I've observed in some situations where there are molds growing inside even though it looks intact from the outside. So now I've removed all the seeds and I'm just going to blend this with the tomato and pepper. So while I was blending this, the blender was full, so what I did was then to remove some and then continue blending. After blending, we're going to then boil this in a clean pot. So this is my beautiful cast iron pot that I bought some time ago. Now I'm just going to transfer the pepper into it. And I'm going to cover this to allow it to boil. I don't need to let it boil for long. I just need it to get into the boiling stage. You can see that. And I'm going to stir this together so that the one floating on the top can mix with the boiling one. So now I'm just going to mix them together. And this is where it's interesting. I know some people can leave it on the stove for the water to evaporate, but I prefer to sieve my pepper after boiling. The purpose of the boiling is to make sure that the pepper it separates from the water. So now I'm just going to then strain out the water from the pepper. If you don't boil it, you might lose some of the pepper, but after boiling, I don't know what process is that, but there seems to be a little bit of separation, because if you allow it to cool down, you will see the water floating on top. So since this first time I discovered the water floating on top after cooling down, since then I've always just strained out the water and that's reduce my cooking time because I don't have to wait until the water boils out. And even at this stage, you can take some and freeze in the freezer to preserve for later use. But the purpose of this video is for me to show you how I make my multi-purpose pepper, the one I refer to as my universal pepper. So you can see the water that's separated from the pepper, it is clear, so you don't have to be afraid that you're going to lose your pepper. You can see that water is clear. It's just a bit colored because of the pepper that is red in color. I didn't blend the onion with the pepper, so what I'm going to do now is to bleach this because I'm going to fry it before frying my pepper. And also I removed the 1 bulb of garlic, so I'm just blending this together. For my cooking, I love to use olive oil, so I'm going to be putting some olive oil in the pot. And I'm going to be putting a generous amount of this olive oil. So when you see bubbles coming from the oil, meaning it's hot enough for the purpose of our cooking, I'm just going to transfer now the blended onion. I'm transferring it in batches because I've once added everything at once and the oil was too hot, so it's burnt some of them. That's why I transferred this. I'm transferring this in batches and then mixing them together, and you can see the steam coming out from the hot oil, and the aroma is amazing. If you do not eat onion, you can skip this part and just fry the pepper. So I'm not going to be frying this for long because I'm still going to use it for other purpose or for further cooking. So I'm just doing this stage to make sure that I to be able to preserve the pepper for a longer time. So the oil will serve as a preservative, coating the pepper. And also because I've transferred the pepper to a sieve, there could be a chance for contamination. So I'm just going to fry this for about 5 minutes to make sure that it's more like a sterilization step. Don't mind me, I'm speaking too much of English. So I'm frying this just to ensure that if I store it in the fridge, not in the freezer, if I store it in the fridge for like 2 weeks, it will still be okay. That's why I'm frying this now. And once you begin to see the oil separating from the pepper, it means that it's ready. And this process took me just about 5 minutes of continuous stirring it. If you're not using a cast iron pot, you can just leave it. So now I'm going to be taking some for my fridge. So I like to stir some in this pot because I can easily take a spoon to prepare a fried egg or for my cabbage, jollof, or any other thing. So I'm going to be showing you the first thing I use this for. And now I'm going to take some to put in the freezer. And then we can go ahead and cook this remaining pepper to make my pepper stew. So in Nigeria, especially from my part of the country, from the west, we like to make what we call tomato and pepper stew. And this stew, we like to add it on top of white rice. This is my bone broth. I prepared this bone broth by cooking bones in a pressure cooker and then straining the water. It's been in the fridge for about 4 days. That's why it's congealed. So I'm just going to use this to season up my stew. I'm going to add more because I don't want to use too much of seasoning. And you know, bone broth is really rich in collagen and the other nutrients that it contains. So I'm just going to let this melt in my pepper and continuously to stir because the cast iron now is beginning to get burnt at the bottom, and I don't know why that is happening even though I'm frying on low heat. So I'll just let this continue to melt, and you can see that's my stew. I'm just going to add some salt and a teaspoon of bouillon powder. If you don't like bouillon powder, you can season this with whatever type of seasoning that you like. Mix this together and let it cook for about 5 minutes. So during that 5 minutes, I'm going to let the meat that I've grilled in the oven to cook, to simmer. That's the right word, to simmer with this. You can see that's a lamb meat, no, mutton that I boiled and grilled in the oven. So this is the one that will be going into the fridge for other purposes. I'm going to show you how I use that later at the end of this video. And after simmering this for 5 minutes, it's ready. And I'm going to show you my first use. My first use is to put it on boiled okra soup. So you can see that. I'm sure if you're a Nigerian, you can already tell which part of the country I'm from by putting this on top of boiled okra, and also the way I cook my okra. It's unique to my region of the country. We prefer to boil it than to cook it with other vegetables. So this is me topping my okra soup with the chili and some of the meat. To be honest with you, when I tasted this, it was slightly spicy, but it's just the right kind of spiciness that I love. So this I'm going to drink. And in the earlier video, I showed you how I make my cabbage jollof. This is the pepper sauce, my universal homemade sauce. So I should have called it multi-purpose sauce rather than universal sauce. So I just mixed that with cabbage to make this cabbage jollof. Look at that. That sauce comes very handy. You can use it for any meal that requires tomato sauce. When I'm frying egg in the morning, I also use this. When I'm eating a steak or veggie, I use it as a dip. So I just put a little in the oil. So this I'm going to be storing in the fridge for further use. And I've shown you that you can use it as a stew. Like I put it on top of okra here. You can put on kale or other vegetables. You can use it as a side dish to your boiled rice instead of curry. Thank you for watching today's video, and until next time, bye.